Hey everybody, Kate here. Happy Friday to you. Today we're digging into a topic most of you are seriously stoked about. And if you're not stoked about shoulders yet, you will be hopefully by the time we're done today. That's my goal anyways. One can hope. I have gotten a lot of comments from folks over the last few weeks who are like, when are we getting to the strong pillars shoulder? Well, today is your day, my friends. We are going to be digging into the sixth pillar of 6 in the Unbreakable body, and part of the programming that I teach, not only as a movement program, but as a way of living and taking care of your body. And everything we covered today will be helping you make these guys that carry the weight of the world when you're stressed and that sit nice and tall and stacked when you're feeling amazing. I'm going to help you hopefully start to improve some of that today. My name is Kate, if we haven't met before, and this is the 6th part of the 6 Pillars series I have been teaching here on Facebook Live. And as I said, we're going to be covering how to make the shoulders work better. As everybody's coming in here and getting logged in today, as always, drop your comments and questions below. We cover those later in the broadcast time before we get to today's joke, which always is how we end our show. I did want to tell you about an amazing study that I just read the other day that was like mind-blowing. This is how powerful your mind is. So they did a study on low back pain. How many of you have had low back pain before? That's a lot of people in the world. They did a study looking at folks with low back pain and using ultrasound as a stimulation technique to assist in the healing process, which it can do. And they used 3 groups. The control group was just given the ultrasound and kind of told this is what's happening. Then they had 2 other groups. The first group was given a bit more education about the ultrasound and about how it works. Then the third group was given more education and relating it to how they were going to be treated that day. Check this out. The 2 groups that had that extra education about what the ultrasound was doing and how it was working for them saw an improvement in their movement capacity after receiving the treatment. Now, that alone is amazing. However, this is an even more amazing part, in my opinion. When I really drilled into the study, instead of just looking at the abstract, I looked at how they treated these folks and then what they were doing afterwards. None of the groups saw a statistically significant difference in their low back pain, but the group that had the most amount of education moved better afterwards anyways. Dude, how amazing is that? Like, in here, like, we are very easily influenced. You have to remember that. And that doesn't mean it tricks you into healing, but it does mean that you can cultivate an experience that supports you feeling good or that keeps you feeling bad. It's not just about the physical movement stuff that we coaches teach you guys. It's about what's happening in here too. And that is kind of an overwhelming theme that is run through this entire series I've been teaching you, that it's not just outside of you, it's inside of you too. So if you take away nothing else from this series, my hope is this, that you recognize that you are this being that does stuff and that feels and thinks stuff and that perceives stuff. And all of that matters when it comes to you feeling and moving well. Truly, our world around us is our perception reflected back to us. Keep that in mind. Okay, as I said, if you've got questions, comments, drop them in below. We'll cover those later. I've got 3 big topics I want to cover for you today. 1, why shoulders down and back is not the greatest cue in the world and what you could do instead. 2, why traditional rehab drills are not the end of the story when it comes to making your shoulders work well. 3, soft tissue work that actually works for you and with you to keep your shoulders feeling strong and healthy. All right, let's dig in. So first, why is shoulders down and back not the greatest cue in the world? Well, it means well. How many of us had mothers who were like, shoulders down and back, stand up straight? A bunch, right? Most of us had a mom like that or a teacher like that, or we were dancers or something where we really tried to strive to have this tall, stacked posture by squeezing our shoulders down and back. Okay, here's why that's not the greatest thing in the world. Number 1, you may not even know how to retract your shoulder blades, so that's when the shoulder blades come closer towards the spine. You may not even know how to do that without also extending your spine. And what that is, so that means like when we extend, think of like a back bend, like if you put your arms over your head, we do that subtly when we're retracting our shoulder blades, when we don't understand how to articulate independently from the shoulder to the spine and use one and not the other, or the other one and not the other one. And when you do that, you end up putting your spine in a slight amount of extension, which not only doesn't make your discs and your nerves and your vertebrae the most happiest ever, because then they don't get to be stacked themselves, but it also can serve to increase the amount of tension you carry in your mid-back. And how many people love getting their back massaged and how great that feels and how many knots it feels like you have back there. Some of that might have something to do with the fact that you're carrying low-level tension in that position all day long because you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades closer to your spine or down and back, as it were. And that can create some issues. In addition, when we slightly extend our thoracic spine, so thoracic is like this stuff right here. When we do that, we also can shear our rib cage forward. And what that means is the rib cage kind of gets pulled forward in front. And I'm going to turn to the side here. Did you guys notice I'm somewhere else today? I'm on the East Coast. Do I look like I'm on the East Coast? Huh? Yeah, totally, right? Okay. So anyways, when we shear our spine and our rib cage, the rib cage goes from here to slightly like that. It's hard to show this when I'm in like kind of a small window, but basically this bottom of the rib cage ends up pointing up and out. And that influences your ability to have torso stability. We talked about torso stuff like last week or the week before. That influences your ability to be stable in your torso, and it influences your ability to breathe in a negative way. So when you can't take a full and complete breath, you of course aren't getting as much oxygenation as you should to your body, but that also influences your fight or flight response. So your SNS, which is part of your central nervous system, can then get ramped up. And we've talked about this before. See if you remember this. One of the things that influences muscle rigidity or the tone of the muscle being too tense all the time or not is how much your fight or flight response is ramped up. So you not breathing well is influencing all of these other things. And when you pull your shoulders down and back, that certainly can create some of this like domino effect of problems that happen. And so what I'd like you to do instead is stop thinking of down and back as the way your shoulders should be, but more that your shoulders should be at ease in their position. That doesn't mean that having shoulders in front of you are like slightly rounded is a terrible thing. We're again just trying to find stacked and aligned posture that you can be at ease in. I would so much prefer that you had slightly rounded forward shoulders, but you were relaxed in that posture than doing like this all day long. So going from maybe like here to like, and then squeezing that and trying to keep that back even at a low level. I would so much prefer you could relax into it instead. So here's what you would do instead of shoulders down and back. And this comes originally from Esther Gokhale, who, like, if I could have a grandmother of movement, I would pick her. And then if I could have a big sister of movement, I would pick Katie Bowman because she's so cool. And then while we're at it, I would totally just pick Alan Watts to be like my grandpa of like philosophy, because that would be the raddest family ever. But, you know, moving forward. Anyways, I digress. Esther Gokhale is amazing. She's super great and did a lot of great work for low back stuff. So here's what she teaches. And I got to actually see her teach this live one time, which was super cool. So what you'll do instead is lift your shoulders up into your ears, slowly round them around the backside, and then when they get to the back of like the top of a circle, just let them drop. And then right there, that's it. So again, like this. So up, round them around the back, and then just let them drop. And I'm not squeezing anything in that. They literally just fall with gravity. So thank you to Esther for that. That is how you can hold a better posture and start to make that more your norm and have that be more your standard everyday position instead of flexing everything as hard as you can to keep it pulled back. Okay? All right, so next one we want to get to. Why traditional rehab drills are not the end of the story. So some of you may know my personal story. I thought I was going to be a physical therapist until I interned as a physical therapist aide during college, and I went, oh yeah, this is not for me at all. Now, the world of physical therapy has changed tremendously since then. I may have a different story if me then were here now. However, my point being is this. One thing I did not love was that like you had to just release them out into the world after the patients were back to baseline. And I was like, well, what about after baseline? Like, how do we make them awesome and amazing? Unfortunately, though, most insurance doesn't like allow you to get treatment at a physical therapy clinic to go into the amazing aspect. You have to switch over to like personal training or coaching or something like that. But I always was like, but after baseline, like that's the stuff I really care about, which is why coaching is where I ended up. And so rehab drills certainly can play a role in improving the quality and tone and tissue function of any joint or any part of your body. But rehab drills, like the name alone, implies that they are to rehab you. But what do you do after you've been rehabbed? That the story has to pick up there. And I find that there's a gap between rehab drills and then like strength and performance type drills, like maybe overhead pressing or going back to yoga inversions or 100 push-ups. Like the rehab drills are significantly far away from those, but like this gap in the middle, right? And all the stuff you did to rehab is to build new patterns and new pathways for your shoulder joint in this case to work well. But then are you keeping those up as you get into your rest of your training? Right? No, most of us don't. Most of us go, yeah, okay, rehab drills are done, I'm released. Now I can go back to my other stuff. Well, but you not moving well is likely the catalyst for you having the pain in the first place, whether you were overusing certain tissues or had just faulty movement patterns, like your scapular rhythm wasn't super great. So like, what are you doing to maintain the new, better scapular rhythm or shoulder position or tissue function when you go back to your regular training? And this is where daily movements come in. So daily movement is patterning. I've said this a million times. It's part of the movement manifesto in my book. Signal, response. The signal you take into your body, that will influence the response your body creates. Your body is always here to help you. It is never trying to hurt you. It is always trying to support the signals that it's receiving. And if it's the signals it's receiving is to use the pectoralis minor right down here or the serratus muscle a whole bunch, and to not use maybe your levator or your upper trap as much, your body's just going to respond to that. And then you're going to start getting maybe some AC joint pain or some pain down here or pain across your upper back of your shoulder. So like, it's not that your body hates you. It's just trying to respond. So your daily movement, that is your patterning. Rehab drills are done in a set period of time. Strength work is done in a set period of time and in a set place. What are you doing in between? So I think the daily movements can pick up where that leaves off, because whether you're doing the Unbreakable Body, my program, or a program you made up yourself, or your weekly yoga class, or CrossFit, or whatever, like that's a set period of time during your day. The rest of your day and the time in between those training intervals needs to have good signaling to your shoulders. Otherwise, why are you surprised that your shoulder starts hurting again? Like, right? So think of your daily movements, in which the readers of the Movement Manifesto, you guys know this, you have your daily movement series, and I love hearing from you that you're doing those drills. It makes my heart so happy, because I know you're setting down a new and better pattern for your body. So where rehab exercises can fit and strength work picks up after that to move you beyond your baseline, the stuff in the middle, in my opinion, needs to be daily movement, and is one of the most important tools you can use to keep your shoulders or hips or ankles or knees or any other part of your body that you want to keep well healthy, right? Okay, so that means legitimately daily you move your body in that way. And maybe you miss a day here or there, but the reality is you take so importantly the health and quality of your body and how it feels that you give couple of minutes a day to just making sure you've moved every joint in your body, or in this case your shoulder, in the ways that you want it to respond to. And if you can't do that, to readjust your day to support that part of your life. I don't think that's a big undertaking to take on, but of course I also highly value how the body feels and how it moves. You have to decide where you're at with that. And if you don't value it as much, that's fine. Again, like I said last week, no good or bad, just consequences. So if you decide, you know what, I don't have time for that right now, Kate, cool, that's fine. You just get to deal with the effects of not moving your shoulders on a daily basis. But in my perfect world, here's how it looks. Unfortunately, if you got injured, now you're doing rehab drills and you're going to fix everything that was overworking, underworking, not working well. You also are going to start laying down daily movements, right? And this is going to be like the mayonnaise on the sandwich. It goes all the way across, right? But then you have like a layer of like turkey. That's like your rehab. And then you have like lettuce, and that's like your initial exercise back. And then you got tomato on the top, and that's like your strength training, if you like that kind of sandwich. But the thing that runs all the way through is like the spread on the bread. That needs to be your daily movements, no matter where you're going after that. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So number 3, soft tissue work that actually works. So I love how I was like, you guys, massage isn't the answer. It's not, but it is awesome and helpful. I just had some body work done today, and it was like amazing and wonderful. And the very first thing I did when I got off the table while I was getting dressed again was to actually do some of my daily movements, because soft tissue work works better when you're actually going to pair it up with going, okay, body, we've just given you these signals of how we would like the tissue to maybe change. Now I'm going to ask you to move with those tissues and joints so I can show you what we're doing. It's kind of like when I took Spanish in high school, like we'd learn a few words for the day, and then we had to put them into practice, like engaging with each other, writing sentences, making a play, doing a presentation, and we use all of the words and conjugations of the verbs that we learned that day. Teach your body the same way. It's nearly identical with what you're trying to teach. You're trying to teach a new pattern to be consistent with your body. Soft tissue work is changing something about the quality of the tissue. Then you're going to go in your conscious controlled environment of your home or your training time and actually teach it how you'd like it to move. So I've got 2 for you that I'd like to show you today. I think these can be done in any time of day or night, but also, again, let me just say, like, I think if you have 5 minutes, instead of spending all 5 minutes on the soft tissue work, if you were to do something maybe like 3 or 4 minutes of soft tissue work and save that last minute or two for moving the joint through its complete range, working at some level of neural control, whether that's a low-level neural drive drill or more of a high-tension neural drive drill. And if you don't know what those are, I have a few articles on Fit for Real Life about neural control. They'll help you learn more about that. Okay, so I'm going to move you here now. We move. That's always a little scary when we change the camera angle. All right, so I have this little like corner of the wall right here. Hi. Okay. So lacrosse ball, super handy. I think everyone should have one or something like it. You just a couple of bucks at the sports store. So this is one of my most favorite ones after a day at the computer. So this area up here is pretty notorious for just getting all like unhappy when we don't get to move very much during our day or if we've had a hard training day. So what you're going to do is take the lacrosse ball. So here's my collarbone right here. So you're going to put it right behind that, and really anywhere along this area is fine. Like, use a pressure that feels appropriate for you. Remember, we've talked before about how soft tissue work doesn't need to be like the most insane pain ever. In fact, that's not very helpful when it is. So lighter is better, and then kind of slowly work your way in. So here's what you're going to do. Find a corner of a wall or a closet or a door frame or something like that, and then you're going to tip over and put the ball right in that area, and then use the wall to apply the pressure. So I've got the ball in there right now, and then I can be hands-free. So then I can grab onto the wall if I want to and push in from there. And I'm going to show you what this looks like from the front. So see? So then the ball is right there, and it's on a part of my shoulder that, like, unless you've got a willing partner who wants to give you a ton of massages, it's a hard area to want to get into. But I'm telling you, I will do a minute or two on this and a minute or two on this, then go through some range of motion drills for my shoulder, and then take a few very deep, slow, controlled breaths, like as a meditative kind of thing. The difference I feel is immense. And remember, guys, soft tissue work isn't changing like knots, like breaking them up or anything like that. It's more, we're not exactly sure what soft tissue work really does, but some of the cool pervading theories is like it sends more neurological like awareness to that area to allow the tissue to start acting differently. I think that's one of the most interesting ones. So you're doing that, and then you're kind of working the shoulder through a drill, whether it's like a range of motion drill, or you're trying to do some internal, external, oh sorry, it's off camera, internal, external rotation stuff, or whatever positions you need to be working to make that joint work well. Doing that first is going to be a great way to help. So again, one more time. So we're going to put it right into the corner of the wall, and then, sorry about that. I've never done that before. My apologies. So then right there, and then applying pressure inward, and it feels super amazing. Second one, using a wall again, or the floor, but I don't love the floor because it kind of hurts, and then you can't really relax. So pec minor and serratus, which kind of run down through here. These guys get really unhappy, often because they don't get used as much as they would like to in the construct of pushing and pulling. And I have a video on YouTube about how to I can't remember the name. I'll link it to you guys in the comments. But anyways, it's about improving your push-ups and yoga inversions and handstands by learning to activate your serratus better, because when it doesn't, it's not happy. So it can get all like gnarly and not so happy in the tissue. So here's what you'll do. So find a spot where you can kind of put your arm up, or if you're in a position where you can't raise your arm over your head, find like a yoga block to put on the wall, and that way you can have space between the shoulder and the wall, and then you can use the ball. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go right on the side, okay, of the rib cage right here. So more forward would be on the pec and the breast tissue. You're going to go behind that, okay? So we're going to go behind that and then go into the wall and then apply pressure from there and just lean in. And practice deep breathing here, because the natural tendency will be to do this. I almost can promise you this. It will be to go and like start to get short-tempered breathing out of that, which we don't want to have. We want to have long, slow breaths. So something like this. Like if I were holding here without talking to you guys right now, I'd be like this. That long and slow, okay, or longer if you can. And then just move it to a new position, same thing again. Move it up to a new position, same thing again. And that can help you start to change not only the quality of your breathing, but also all of that tissue that is supporting your shoulder. Because remember, guys, your shoulder is, the whole shoulder joint is the clavicle across the top, humeral head up at the top here that meets the glenohumeral joint, scapula, shoulder blade on the back, and your rib cage. All of that has to be working well together for this guy not to get all bunchy, like messed up and pushed together. So keep that in mind as you're doing your shoulder soft tissue work, that it's not just about what's up here or out here, and that quite often pain up here may be coming because there's stuff that's not working right down here. Make sense? Okay, cool. So let's get to a few questions here. Luis, I'm so glad. He says, it's amazing how daily movements have pretty much annihilated my low back pain. Love it. That's so awesome. Katie says, I took your neck and shoulder pain workshop and it's already worked wonders just a few days in. Oh, wow. I'm so glad to hear that. That's amazing. She went from migraine level headaches to none. Katie, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. If you'd like to take my neck and shoulder tension workshop, you guys, it's free. Like, it's just all this awesome information I've learned over the years that I'm like, people need this. Like, you guys need to feel good. Because remember, my mission in this world is like, an amazing earth because it's full of people who feel amazing, and I think we all can do more amazing things when we feel amazing. Well, I mean, it's true, right? Like, think about how, when you feel like crud, like, you don't want to help anybody, you don't want to be happy, you don't want to smile. Like, you're way cooler when you're happy and smiling and helping the people you're here on earth to help. So if I can help you do that in some way, I will. You can register for the workshop on fitforreallife.com/no-more-tension. And I'll put a link to that in with the YouTube video link that I'll be sharing with you as well. That's totally free. It's an hour-long class that teaches you all the best things I know about neck and shoulder tension, which could go a long way to helping all of this stuff feel better. Okay, do we have any questions today? We do not. Perfect. Good. Oh, actually we do. Andrea, hi. What's the best way to make your pec major and pec minor less tight? Is mine are crazy tight? Dude, mine used to be as well too. So I used to do gymnastics as recently as 2 years ago. And that's lots of like hollowing your body out and rounding your shoulders and doing some positions that use some of the tissues like the pec minor and the serratus a whole bunch. Now, I know you don't have to only be a gymnast for that to happen. It can be from like being at a desk all day or nursing a newborn and having to like look your head down and hold the baby the whole time. Anything can make this crazy. So two things. One, taking a look at overall, and this is where people go, oh God, taking a look at overall stress levels. I know. It's like the annoying one where you're like, oh. Not saying that's you, but that is one manifestation of like this tissue really ramps up when we're under some kind of stress. So doing something you can to provide a meditative or chill experience into your day or your life or your week would be the first thing I would just say, like, get that on point and like start taking care of that. But then also work to actually start strengthening the serratus, which is down under here, which will be in that YouTube video, doing some of the drills I show in that. And then also doing work to actually make your mid-back stronger. So if you're doing something like a row on the rings or the TRX, making sure that you're actually moving your scapula around your rib cage as you bring the shoulder blades together at the back part of the pull. Because so many people will do the row of any kind, and they'll do a row, but their shoulder never actually moves back along their rib cage. And in fact, I have another one I would give to you as well. It's impossible for me to do in this outfit because you have to see like just the bra on. I'm not going to wear just a bra on Facebook Live, sorry. But Andrea, I will put it in the comments and tag you on it because it's a drill that I have done to reconnect my brain and my body to the scapular rhythm of the shoulder blades gliding along the rib cage. And when we can get those working well, that does tend to help the stuff on the front. This is like where your pec stuff would be. That can help those. The third thing I would say is to go look at kind of like your overall training process, like what are you doing the most of, and then like let's look at how we can balance that out in a way that still lets you train that way you love, but maybe gives you a bit of a break on your pecs. I'm thinking like if you're doing lots of push-ups or something like that. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Lizana, I'm not sure how to say that, but hi, good to see you. Bicep tendon pain, do you recommend rolling out like you just did? Yeah, totally. So bicep tendon pain tends to show up somewhere, usually origin or insertion, some here or here, but quite often there's some like gnarly bits that get just overused, not happy, inflamed in here. So you can use your fingers or you can take the lacrosse ball and get into this area right in here and apply some pressure and see what that feels like. The next thing to figure out too is why your biceps are all like jacked up and not so happy. So possibly over recruiting them because you're not recruiting the muscles of the shoulder as well as you can. Possibly because you're recruiting the elbow when you should be recruiting the shoulder. So this is a common one when I'm coaching clients, even on Skype, I'll see it. Like, I'm like, I can see you bending your elbows. So learning to articulate the shoulder joint without articulating the elbow joint. So if you're doing some sort of drill with your arm straight, like verifying that it's actually straight and that you aren't flexing your biceps slightly to support whatever you're trying to do in your shoulder. But yes, and if you're just doing soft tissue work that we're talking about, then yes, you can get in and work on this, but also check your tricep too. So on a table or something, rolling the ball on the lower part of the tricep, that can help you start to feel some difference. Then the next part is to follow it up with better movement, which there are some elbow drills that maybe we could teach sometime that might help something like that. Andrew says, yeah, my back muscles are less strong than the front line for sure. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, totally. So I think TRX or ring rows are one of the most fun strength drills to do to help that. Just making sure that as you do the row that you're pulling the shoulder blade back down and around the shoulder, that it's not staying propped up and floating off the shoulder blade, that it's actually depressing down and back. I will definitely link to that Instagram that I had posted of that specific drill. I think it'll really help you out. You're welcome, Lizana. Thank you so much. That's great. Okay, we have a joke today. It's a super groaner, you guys. Sorry in advance. But that's the deal. That's the deal with the jokes, right? Like we all go, ah. But then we also recognize how like that's most of life, not meant to be taken that seriously. So, okay. Ready? Joke time. It was, I don't know why I always have to laugh with these, well, because they're funny to me. It was first day of school for all the numbers, and so they were heading, it's August, right, they were all heading back to school, and, you know, 7 was there, and he said, oh, hey, number 9, it's good to see you again, you look so nice and tan from the summer, and 1 was there talking to 2, and a bunch of 3s showed up, Mom dropped him off, that was so great, and 0 came in, and 0 was there, and was like, hey, everybody, it's good to see you, and then 8 walked up, and 0 turned to 8 and went, oh, nice belt. Get it? 0 with the A. Okay, I don't have to explain it. You guys are so wonderful. Louise, thank you for encouraging me to tell more jokes. You know I will not stop. You guys, this has been great. This has been our 6 Pillars series, and we're not going anywhere after this, but I will say if you'd love to learn more and learn it hands-on, come to my workshop in Chicago that's coming up in just about 6 weeks. You can find out more information about that on the Fit for Real Life page that's marked products. That's where all of the stuff that I have that you can do at home or live in person with me. That's where I keep all of that stuff on my site. I would love to see you there. We have a 2-day option and a 1-day option to come and learn what you want to learn most and skip the stuff you don't, if that's you. And otherwise, I will see you here and around the internet. It's been so fun today. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.